Ouch.
Ooh, I can feel the chill from here. You don't necessarily need the money, so you pay the stall no mind as you pass by. At last, you've reached the end wall. It is a cliff taller than any you've seen, and its breadth extends as far as the eye can see. It practically defies you to conquer it. You try to climb it, but its face is sheer ice, but you will not be defeated. You redouble your efforts and scramble partway up, only to see a giant snow hurtling away. In a show of quick thinking, you summon the flame primal and melt it before. Alas, that movement throws you off balance, and you plummet into the snow at the base of the end wall. You announce that you won't be trying again, and Lagol applauds the sagacity of your decision. He then reminds you that no one even knows if the Nuterra the Guru spoke of is real. Polka doesn't look quite so ready to give in. Nuterra's existence is irrelevant, he says, noting that the Guru said it was simply where you'd find what you seek. Trollis reckons she can climb it and leaps at the end wall. The party is divided. Lagol opposes any attempt to advance, but Polka and Trollis insist on thanks to the Flame Primal's warmth. The debate carries on for some time. Suddenly, your vision blurs. You've drawn upon the flame you called forth blinks out of existence, and a piercing chill sets in once more. Between your exhaustion and the cold, you feel yourself growing faint. These words, and the shape of an old woman emerging from the snow, are the last things you register before you lose consciousness. Your eyes open, and your surroundings come into focus. You're in a bed. Next to you sits an old woman. "Come around, have you?" she asks gently. You suppose she's been looking after you. Perhaps drawn by the noise you're making, Lagol and the others burst into the room. They all fawn over you in turn. "Care for something to eat?" the old woman asks, her voice as soothing as any curative. You accept her kind offer immediately, offering your thanks loud. "A model youth, if ever there was one," the woman says, nodding enthusiastically as she said, "The food is simple and warm. It heals your body and mind with every bite." Polka broaches a bit of conversation while you eat. "I didn't happen to see anyone else in the village." The old woman says she'll take you to meet the others, and shuffles out of the cabin. The old woman leads you to the graveyard. "They're all gone now," she says softly. Her face creases, eager to leave a land in which nothing can grow. Each one tried to scale the end wall and reach Nuterra, but not a single one returned. Her own son was also among those who set out to scale the end wall. Still, the old woman ventures to the end wall once a day. She tells you how grateful she's been for your company after so much time alone, and suggests you spend the night in Icevale. A piercing shriek launches you out of a deep sleep and onto your feet. That was the kindly old woman's voice. You're sure of it. You all agree to check in on her. The party hurriedly piles into her humble abode. to find the old woman doubled over, clutching her back and unable to move. She's thrown her back out, Polka says matter-of-factly. It only hurts if you let it. Be strong, Legol says optimistically. Easy for you to say, the woman snaps. Perhaps sensing no small amount of danger to her life, the woman remains where she is and informs you one derived from Solnivias, rare flowers that bloom across the snowy plains. She's fed you and provided shelter. You must find that flower for her. You turn your head toward the source of the sound and see the You wave back, agog at the sight. What's a merchant like him doing in a place like this? The merchant is shivering something fierce. Please, you lot are my only hope, he pleads, and lays out his wares. Polka looks through the telescope and yelps in surprise. You snatch it from him and have a look yourself. Monster. It's a monster. Fortunately, it hasn't noticed you yet. You hand the telescope back to Polka, and step by careful step, creep towards the monster. So far, so good. Alas, the monster senses your presence and whips around, ready to fight. To battle. Your surprise attack failed, but you also rid the world of another monster. That'll do. You return to the path and keep walking. You spot a small flower poking its head above the snow. Surely that must be a Solnivia. There are several jutting up from the snow, but you pluck just one and resolve to return to the old woman. This portion of the village appears to be a graveyard. You burst through the door, Solnivia in hand. Polka grinds it according to the old woman's instructions and spreads the resulting salve on her back. Ah, that feels better already, she coos. Thank you ever so much. You must be chilled to the bone, she chirps as she begins preparing you a meal. The party decides there's nothing that cannot wait until tomorrow and agrees to spend yet another night in Icevale. Upon waking, your party begins discussing how to proceed. Sure, you gave up on scaling the end wall yourself, but you didn't have a plan then. Surely Polka and Trollis, who were already eager to find new Legol, the sole dissenter, can tell he's been outvoted. If that's... And so the party resolves to take another crack at climbing the end wall, but not before checking in on the old woman one last time. You knock at the door to the old woman's cabin, but there's no answer. You walk in to check on her and find her lying abed, cold to the touch. The Solnivia could have been poisonous, Legol posits, but Polka refutes that hypothesis upon examining her. He pronounces her dead of natural causes. From the sub-Terran village to Steelborough to the City of Flame and onward, you've left a trail of death and disease in your wake. If there is a god of pestilence among us, it's me, Legol says. Polka counters that were you a god of pestilence, the continued good health of the entire party would be inexplicable and, frankly, illogical. Trollis gently strokes your back and suggests you all give the old woman a proper burial. You decide to bury the woman beside the other graves in Icevale, if only so she won't be lonely in death. You wish to mark her grave like the others, but you see no— Didn't we see a few tree ants on the way here? Polka proffers. So it's decided. You'll fell a tree ant and use its wood to mark the woman's grave. Beautiful. Legol efficiently breaks down the tree ant. Out of nowhere, Polka wishes for you to collect more. Are we building a whole house? Legol grouses, side-eyeing Polka. The target of his ire, however, is already off searching for tree ants. Beautiful. Sometimes you get lucky. This ought to be enough wood for our purposes. Pulchralis suggests you stop by the old woman's grave and place a flower on it. This one cutest, she beams, and takes a single flower in hand. You make your way back to Icevale. You fashion the wood into a fine marker for her final resting place and place the flower atop it. You clasp your hands to pray, but no, something's missing. Polka. Where did Polka go? You're certain he was with you right up until you returned to the village. You have to find him. The inside of the cabin is bitterly cold, and you don't mean just the temperature. No one stands behind the front desk, but the inn is still serviceable. You quickly spot Polka puttering around. He takes notice of you too. "We're all set," he chirps. You take your leave of Icevale and prepare to face the end wall once more. As you approach the end wall, you're intimidated once more by its preposterous scale. "We'll upgrade the sand skiff," you announce to the party. "What sort of upgrade?" Ligol asks. You give him a smug look. You say all you need to do is make it fly. Polka's glasses catch the light just so. "I thought it would come to this. I'm one step ahead of you," he proclaims. On Polka's orders, you set fire to the wood you gathered earlier. The balloons now attached to the sand skiff inflate as the hot air fills them, and the skiff softly lifts off the ground. I swear I've seen something like this before. Trollis is utterly delighted by the unexpected flight. Her joy is tempered by violent gusts that grow more intense as the skiff climbs. It's a bit too dangerous to continue on, so you seek out a suitable landing spot. You strain to see through the blizzard, but you're almost certain there's enough space to land on a protrusion partway up the end wall. You bring the sand skiff in for a landing. Surveying the area, you see that there's an opening in the end wall big enough for everyone to fit through. You're not flying anywhere but straight to the bottom of the end wall in this blizzard. You fashion a torch from some of your sand skiff fuel and enter the cave. Battle time. To battle. You spot two monsters chattering amongst themselves. You hide, watching them. The party hastily scribbles down the snatches of conversation they've heard. You saw more than your fair share of iced over rocks on the way here. Might the beast, while you were lost in thought, the monsters went about their you gather up everyone's notes and stuff them into your pack. You'll be on the lookout for places matching the description you've heard. Battle time. Battle time. Beautiful. sphere of pure light appears before you, gently floating in the air. You lean in, your eyes refocus, revealing the form of a fairy. The likes of fearsome beast lies within this wall. You'd best go home if you value your life, the fairy says solemnly, but you'll heed no such advice. After all, the fairy's probably a monster themselves. You press on. The fairy fades from view, revealing a horde of agitated monsters. They lunge at you. The monster's taken care of. You look warily this way and that. No sign of the fairy. You continue on, carefully. Though you've clearly ascended, The cave has brought you once again to the end wall's exterior. The only way up from here is straight up the end wall's sheer face.
Hola, buenos días, ¿cómo está?
You take notice of a light above your head as you in time to see a massive snowball hurtling towards you. You somehow manage to dodge the snowball, only for the sound of someone snickering to reach your ears. A masterful victory. To battle.
Seven almost friendly for this.
Battle time. The path before you is littered with bones. Polka picks one up and examines it. They are indeed human. Just then, another ball of light appears. The Frost Primal lives here. I think it'd be wise to turn around and leave, the fairy says, clearly trying to be helpful. That sure sounds like a trap to you. The party readies their weapons. The fairy fades from view, revealing a horde of slobbering monsters. They set upon you at once. Battle time. Those bones, were they all the fairy's hapless victims? Among them may well be the remains of the old woman's son. One thing's certain. Next time they appear, you're not letting those fairies get away. You feel a slight burning and look up to see a massive snowball hurtling toward you from above. You summon the flame primal and melt it before it hits you. You lock your eyes on the top of the end wall. To find that snowball was but the first of many. You'd bet your card case this is those fairies doing. We'll just have to avoid them as we climb, Ligol says, perhaps concerned after you overextended yourself in Icevale. You make your way past the treacherous snowball. It's not too far to the top now. Seeing how little is left fills you with enough determination to keep going. Your torch goes out unexpectedly. You summon the flame primal and light it once more. Is everyone still here? Are they unharmed? Yes, it seems so. You hear Polka and Trollis speaking in oddly high-pitched voices behind you. They want to turn back after you've come all this way? Polka and Trollis don't sound like themselves. They're both excitable in their own ways. But Aunt Legol whips around and puts his back to yours. Polka and Trollis stick their tongues at you. Then lurch forward and attack. The imposters posing as Polka and Trollis disappear. You hear voices from further within the cave as they vanish. Frost Primal? You repeat. A confusion interrupted by the sight of Polka and Trollis walking briskly to your side. According to Polka, he and Trollis were this is more like that. The real Trollis and Polka have returned. Your hand flies to your weapon instantly. The rest of the party follows your lead and prepares for a fight. Gladly, you signal to the rest of the party and charge into combat. As well? So, You aren't the first. The Frost Primal confirms your worst fears. Do you let out a piercing scream that gives way to a howl of agony for those lost to this creature?
The Frost Primal is mighty. Beautiful.
The frost primal seems to vanish before your eyes. But you soon realize there are two fairies in its place. They explain that they can shapeshift and were behind all this trouble. You ask if they truly did kill all the people of Icevale. They exchange glances and break out in a fit of giggles. They let out an innocent laugh. You turn toward the fairies and lift your sword high overhead. Mischief and pranks don't take lives. You slash hard in their direction. "You're terrible," one of them shouts, as they both flutter gracefully. The fairies mock you mercilessly. In one slash, Legol slices them cleanly in two, and they're fluttering. "That's what I'm here for," he growls. Well, you won't be making cards out of them now that Legol sliced them in half. Still, you have no regrets. You were going to onward, leaving, Trollis chirps, once again her usual chipper self. You work your way deeper and deeper. Polka suggests you return to the sand skiff, which seems as good an idea as any. You agree to head back to the sand skiff as quickly as possible. You exit the cave to find the blizzard has subsided. Polka ventures a guess that the fairies might either way. There's nothing stopping you now. You gaze up at the impossibly blue sky as the balloons inflate, and you gently lift off once more. At last, you float over the top. You knew this wall was not.
Sure.